Stop messing around, stop fooling around, stop delaying, stop procrastinating. Get up, get out, get it done. Everything is possible, nothing is a problem, and anything can be overcome. I just get my ass up out of bed, I get my shit together, and I get out and I start the fight. And that will transform you from a mere mortal into a superhuman being. I've never, ever, ever met anybody who told me that they got rich watching their IRA or their 401k. What'd you have for breakfast this morning, George?
What did I have for breakfast this morning? I had the same thing I have
every day.
A cup of bone broth, 2 eggs, spinach, a half cup of yogurt with hemp seeds, chia seeds, and flax seeds, and a small orange.
Do me a favor, send that to me, because I'm going to try it.
I will, yeah, absolutely.
I've recently cut out all sugar, dairy, and gluten.
All of it, wow. That's
I'd say 98% of it.
But that's
I'm being pretty strict right now.
How do you feel?
I've never felt better.
Nice.
Which makes me really wonder that before I started doing this, when I thought I was feeling good, I really wasn't. It was just relative to something else that wasn't that great. It was just better than not great.
Yeah.
But now I feel like, oh my God, what I've been missing out on.
In the vein of everything we talk about here, which is, success, pursuing business and excellence and everything like that, I feel like that is something that is interesting as you improve or get to a certain level of something that you look back and you realize like, oh, there was this whole other echelon of experience that I didn't even know existed and maybe wouldn't even have processed in a way that I could have accepted it at that time.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So, all right, well, along these lines, I have a reaction video here for you.
Ready to react.
Yeah, it's Jay Shetty and Kobe Bryant.
When you see people like yourself, it's like, it's so easy as an excuse to ourselves to just be, oh, you're destined for it, right? You were made for it. It's kind of like that kind of, oh yeah, but when you talk about saying, oh, actually, when I started, I didn't have the physicality that meant that I was going to make it. Like you had to figure it out, and I love it.
Figure it out, man. It's just piece by piece, and it's the consistency of the work, which I feel like a lot of parents are missing today because we're not teaching that to our kids. We tend to say like kids don't want to do the work, but in reality, it's when we're failing them because we're not leading them the right way and teaching them, how to fish.
So here's what I love about Kobe. He takes responsibility. He's saying, I'm the parent, I'm the adult. If my kids aren't achieving, if my kids aren't doing something that they need to be, it's my fault. It's because of me. I need to teach better. I need to parent better. He takes responsibility for it. He talks about the consistency of the work. Are the kids getting that messaging? And when they're not, he blames himself. So I love the accountability and I love the taking responsibility. We need more of that in our world, between our peers and all of us in our business environments, in our social environments, with friends, definitely in our family environments, and certainly between parent and child, student, teacher. We need to be more accountable and take more responsibility and identify, hey, it's not the kids that are failing, it's us that's failing them. I love this. And Kobe, on so many levels, is a guy that works to achieve. He takes responsibility on the court, off the court. This is just one small example, but it's such a huge one. I'm around young kids all the time, and I always think, I think as we all do, like, man, what's the matter with that kid? Or what's the matter with young people today? Or you know what the matter is with young people today? It's the older people. So I like where Kobe's head with this, and I like that he takes responsibility. And I wish there were more people that would take responsibility for the things that are going on in today's world, rather than saying, oh, I didn't do that, or oh, the kids are such a mess, and those millennials or those Gen Xers or Zers or Y, whatever people my age say. Yeah. And I'll admit to being in that group, and I'll admit to saying that myself. And I try and be accountable and take responsibility for things. And if I see a great person who's not performing, I want them to perform. And if I see a great person who's not succeeding to the best of what I believe their ability is, I'm going to try and change that. So maybe I have a little bit of that from Kobe. Maybe Kobe has a little bit of that from me.
Yeah, it's what's scary is that I'm hearing millennials now say, oh, those kids, about the Gen Z.
Yeah, well, good. That's what I can't wait.
Yeah.
Show me the millennials who are saying, oh, those kids.
Oh, it's all
that
over the
would
place.
make me so happy.
All over the place. Yeah.
That's going to be such a pivotal moment for them.
Yeah, no, it's
maybe they'll get their shit together finally.
I was going to say it's sad to see actually. So I'm not proud of that representation of my generation. But all right, so our next one, last reaction for today is Molly Dare. Molly Dare says, The sooner you figure out which chairs don't belong at the table, the more peaceful your meals become.
Molly, you're going to make me respond to my friend Molly's tweets.
Yeah, I thought
Look,
it would be fun.
she's a brilliant woman. Whatever she says, I agree with. Whatever she says goes. She's the boss of her house. She's the boss of her business.
Yeah.
She's a total boss. Yeah. What can I say?
Yeah.
My only reaction to Molly is more Molly.
I'm down for that. Cool. All right. Well, I'll head over to the table and see you there.
Thanks.
Welcome back. It's been about 2 weeks. Thanksgiving happened. How was it? You have a good Thanksgiving?
Great Thanksgiving. The whole mishpucha was up at our house. It was a lot of fun.
What was that word?
Mishpucha.
I've never heard that one before.
You are like the king of the non-Jew Jews, and you don't know mishpucha?
I know. That's a
look that
bit
one up.
of Yiddish that I don't know, so I'll have to look that up. Great. Well, I'm so glad Thanksgiving was good.
What did you do? Did you have a Seder?
No, I did not have a Seder for Thanksgiving. But no, we jump in the ocean every year.
Did you do that?
We did that. Yeah.
Was that a polar bear thing?
Yeah, back in, it was 1990, it was like a warm Thanksgiving, and my uncles and my dad jumped in the ocean because it was warm. And then the next year, when it was a normal temperature, they were like, oh, we should do it again. And so then, 30 years later, we're still doing it.
So just the family did this? This
just
wasn't like a
No, it's not an official
event.
thing. It's something that the family does every year. Yeah. I want to talk about this silver tsunami. Before I ask about the silver tsunami, have you ever experienced a tsunami in person? This seems like something that you would have had in your
No, I've not experienced a tsunami. The only experience I've had with a tsunami was watching one unfold on TV in Thailand back in, I can't remember the year now. It must have been 2002 or 3 or whenever that horrible tsunami in Thailand was.
Yeah.
And I had friends that were there that they experienced it.
That's terrifying.
And so I can't say that I experienced it except for my pain and grieving that I experienced for them really experiencing it. So
totally.
I'm not sure why you brought that up, but there's your answer.
I'm sorry to bring us down. Yeah. I just wanted to know if you had experienced a tsunami personally. So I guess we're fortunate that you didn't, but I'm really sorry that you had that experience.
And I'm also glad I haven't experienced an avalanche personally.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
That's also not, and I also know people that have, and families that have, and it's that stuff is not stuff you want to play with.
Yeah, no.
When you're younger, you probably don't think about it as much because we all feel immortal and invincible. But you see enough of them, and it begins to shape how you think about stepping out on ledges sometimes.
Yeah. As you get older, you make different decisions. Which is this first question: is the number of Americans 65 and older, also known as the silver tsunami, that's what people are calling it, is expected to reach 72 million by 2030 and 83 million by 2050. So there's projections by this company JLL indicating that the housing for seniors is going to be undersupplied by 600,000 units by 2045. So
they say there's going to be an undersupply of senior housing by 600,000.
Yeah.
Something's not making sense to me. If they just said there's an undersupply of housing, period.
Yeah.
Totally would agree, and we can move on and discuss it.
Yep.
But they had to say there's going to be an undersupply of housing by 600,000 senior housing units. By what year?
2045.
2045. So that's 20 years from now, more than 20 years from now. I think we have an undersupply of senior housing units now of 600,000. I don't know what they're talking about in 24 years, 23 years we're going to have an undersupply. We have an undersupply now of all types of housing across all age groups, income levels, market locations, and asset and product types. There's a lot of housing that we're short on. And as people continue to age out into the silver tsunami, it's going to be millions, not 600,000. 600,000, we could build our way out of that in a matter of a few years. I'm not worried about a shortage of 600,000 senior housing units. I'm worried about a shortage of multiple millions, which is what I think it's going to be.
Yeah. Do you see this as an opportunity for investment?
Oh, come on. You know, what do we do here, man? Anytime, everything's supply and demand. Anytime you have a lot of demand and a limited amount of supply, opportunity. Absolutely. But you know what you need? You need zoning to be allowing you to take advantage of the opportunity. You need local markets and elected officials to allow the construction to occur, the zoning to occur. I think there's absolutely an end-user market demand for it, but you have to be able to build it, so you're going to go to the places where it can be built. Who knows where those places are? We got to check the zoning. So if you're interested in taking advantage of an opportunity and developing senior housing units, make sure that you have the zoning or don't have to fight too hard to get it.
Yeah, one of the things that the challenge is that people were proposing, well, two of them one was operational complexity. Obviously, services come along with a lot of these senior housing, and so that's something that would have to be dealt with. But then also income limitations for the tenants is something that you often talk about the frustration of income caps with tenants right now with rent control and that kind of thing. But here, there's an income limitation just because obviously these seniors are not working, so that's built in, and so those are two challenges right there that have to be overcome.
But mark my words, it's going to be way more of a shortage than just 600,000 units. 600,000 units is like 12,000 units shortage per state. State like where we are here in New Jersey, that can be 30 or 40 projects.
Right. Yeah.
It's not going to be that tough for 30 or 40 projects in senior housing to be built over the course of 5 or 10 years if you have the zoning for it. Yeah. But there's absolutely a market opportunity.
Is that something you could see yourself moving towards?
George, I see myself moving towards anything that I think is a market opportunity. I'm an equal opportunity opportunist.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I am. I mean, I'll go to wherever the party I think is going to be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not ashamed about it. You have to.
The Commercial Observer reports an uptick in multifamily owners using a bunch of different technologies to reduce heating costs as the winter is coming
one thing they use
on its way.
For,
yeah. I was wondering, there's a few here that I can mention, but just in general, are you all at all concerned about rising energy costs with supply chain stuff, the wars and everything like that?
Inflation,
wars, all that kind of stuff.
Supply constraints, supply chain issues. I'm always concerned about energy costs. My biggest expenses on my P&L of operating any building: taxes, insurance, utilities.
Yeah,
in that order.
Yeah.
So if you can control utilities, great. If you can't, they're going to get out of control. You're going to have cost creep. George, cost creep, if you don't manage it, you're going to be killed by it. It will destroy your P&L. It will erode your margins. It'll do nothing except take up more space on the pie chart of your cost structure of operating your business. It doesn't have to be real estate. It could be anything. Your home, where you live. You're paying utilities.
Yeah.
Your business, where your office is, where your kitchen is. If you have a restaurant, if you have whatever you have.
Yeah.
You got to manage your costs. Utilities are a big part of that.
Yeah, so this article was talking about things like an electricity generating boiler, ways to insulate radiators, just a higher tracking. Are these technologies things that you see yourself?
We do it all. We are constantly in the marketplace looking at new technologies and products to help us do everything, not just manage utilities.
Yeah.
But we have boiler computer systems. We have mobile, remote, Wi-Fi enabled communication to apps on phones to check water usage because our sewer bills are based on water usage. And we're monitoring electric kilowatt hours, what the demand is for that at our buildings. We're monitoring gas usage. I mean, gas is something that's gotten very expensive compared to what it used to be.
Absolutely.
And these things all creep, and if you don't control them and don't manage them, you're just going to have issues.
The FHFA recently said that it will require lenders to use both FICO and Vantage scores when assessing loan eligibility. Does this affect commercial real estate at all? I know most people are talking about this in a consumer basis.
And the home mortgage market.
Yes. Yeah.
No, the underwriting for commercial mortgages is primarily influenced by the income that the asset throws off. Secondarily, the borrower has to meet certain criteria. You have to have a certain FICO score. You have to have enough liquidity, money in the bank. Typically equal to like 9 or 10 months of loan payments. And you have to have a net worth typically equal to or greater than the amount of the loan that you're asking for from Freddie or Fannie. That's the commercial market. The single family home mortgage market, not only are they saying they're now going to look at FICO scores and these other metrics to underwrite, but you want to know what else they just recently announced?
What's that?
That they're increasing the amount of their backstop, their guarantee on home mortgages. The government backstop on the home mortgage market was previously $970,000. Now they've just increased that to $1,080,000 in the expensive markets. And in the regular average markets, they've increased it up to like $726,000. So they're increasing the limits of their guarantee, which is going to be good for the consumer. It's going to be good for borrowing and buying power, right? We're able to tap into more money to get the housing products that we need. But they're going to be more scrutinizing. They're going to look at FICO. They're going to look at these other metrics where maybe they weren't doing that before for whatever the governmental reasons are. They have to be like qualities, the reasons, and all of that stuff, fair housing laws, and all of that they have to manage, and they don't want to be guilty of violating.
Totally.
But now they're saying we're going to increase the scrutiny, but we're going to increase the amount of guarantee, and it makes sense. If you're going to expect more from me as a borrower, give more to me as a borrower. And that's the message they're sending. I like it. It's going to be good for stabilizing the housing market. It's going to be good for instilling confidence into the consumers. And I think it's going to help us get through this really funky recessionary time that we're in right now.
Yeah, definitely funky. You mentioned already kind of the fundamentals of commercial real estate lending. Is there anything that people overlook when they're starting out about credit when it comes to commercial real estate? And maybe not. I was just curious. We touched
about
on
credit, man.
Yeah. Like if there,
this is such a hot topic as credit.
Right.
I mean, credit is one way that you tap into being able to be in business and get purchasing power without having the actual cash. Mm-hmm. So credit is your reputation, right? Yeah. We all know reputation is the most important thing in life and in business. It takes a lifetime to build it up, and it takes a half a second to destroy it. Same thing with credit.
Yeah.
Mind your credit. Cultivate your credit. Nurture and care for your credit, because you're going to need credit. You're going to need to borrow. You're going to need to tap into lines of credit, to HELOCs, to renovation lines, to business lines, inventory, factoring. No matter what your business is, you're going to need good credit. So make sure that you're treating your credit reputation as good as your personal reputation. Very, very key. Credit is a big and important factor for people getting into business who are already in business. We all need credit. Our world revolves around the consumers having credit available to them. Mind your credit. Make sure your credit is as shiny and stellar as possible.
All right, you're going to give a shit for this next question, but Globe Street reports, not
Globist.
Yeah, not Globist. Globe Street reports that Seagate listed its Silicon Valley research campus for sale, and they're asking a $300 million and a 7-year leaseback deal. So, this definitions of George always. What is a leaseback deal? What should we understand about it?
Leasebacks are also referred to sale leasebacks. That's when there's a tenant in place. The tenant is actually the owner of the building.
Right.
Now they want to sell the building to someone else, but they want to stay in that same building and continue to pay rent to the new owner and be a tenant for the new owner. So that's called a sale leaseback. Mm-hmm. George, if your company occupies an entire building, you own the building,
right,
and you decide you want to free up your balance sheet, convert real estate to cash, you have a need for cash for whatever reason, you'll put your building on the market, an investor will come by and buy the building with you in place, paying the scheduled rent that's in some lease that you'll draw up between yourself and the investor, and you now become a tenant. You still occupy your space. You don't have to relocate your office, go through all that downtime and cost and expense and agita of relocating a whole company somewhere.
Yeah.
You're already in a building. You want to stay there. But instead, you now just pay rent. Instead of paying taxes and insurance on owning the building, or a mortgage if you have that too, you now just pay rent. And the property owner is now your landlord. Mm-hmm. You pay rent to the landlord. The landlord gets a return on their investment. At some point, the landlord's going to come over to you and say, hey, it's time to renew. And you could say, well, I'm not going to renew. I'm out. And we're going to move down the road, or we're closing shop. Or, yeah, I'll renew. And then you have to renew with the person. It happens all the time. Sale leasebacks, or leasebacks, as you suggested, I refer to them as sale leasebacks. Very common in the industry. It's when companies own the properties that they occupy, and they no longer want to own that property. They have some need to convert to cash, and they'll sell the property, but they want to stay in and pay rent. It's a pretty good deal for those that are in that market. It's a win-win. The investor gets a sure thing with a tenant that's got a track record and a history, and we know that they have money now to put up a security deposit because they just sold their building.
Yep.
And the tenant knows that they have certainty with their space. They want to continue to occupy the space, not disrupt the workflow, not disrupt the employee base, and just have everybody stay put and work in the same place. It's a win-win.
You recently tweeted this, and so that's why I went over and grabbed my phone. A physician friend and parent of a teenager just told me that their daughter displayed anger, anxiety, sleep dysfunction, depression, and combativeness. So they took away the iPhone and iPad.
Right.
Within days, she was sweet, caring, happy, strong, focused, sleeping, and balanced. Wow.
Right.
So amazing, story you're sharing there. How do you personally think about screen time for yourself, for your family? How do you optimize for its benefits while mitigating its risks?
I don't know the answer to any of that. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Every day of my life, I come this close to pulling the ripcord on all of my social media and just leaving that to you. And I'm just not going to be on social media. I'll come here. We'll do this podcast, and after that, maybe I'll just log in once a week from my office just to answer DMs or something.
Yep.
But I come really close every day to pulling the ripcord because it takes up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
It's social media. Mm-hmm. And I get that there's a business to social media. But George, you know this about me. We're not on social media for business. We're out here because we just feel like we want to participate in the dialogue and help people and inspire people and share knowledge.
Yeah.
So for me, it's tough to justify being on my phone or being on apps or engaged in a screen for hours and hours like I see so many people do.
Yeah.
And it's not a great example for my daughter. I see my daughter running around the house picking up other people's phones. And I have to say to her, put that phone down, it's not yours. And I have to say to her, no, I'm on social media for business. And other than business, it's not good. Like, it's mixed messaging.
Right. Yeah.
I want to be a strong, leading, guiding parent for my daughter. So I find every opportunity I can to hide my phone, put it down. I'm not bringing it to the dinner table anymore. I mean, just little, like you would think, Peter, you were bringing your phone to the dinner table. But like as an entrepreneur, I bring my phone everywhere because it's I'm always on. I got to be available.
Totally.
And so I worry about that and think about that a lot. I think a lot of the mental health issues and stress and anxiety that we see, and not just young people, but even adults today, all comes from the screen and from social media. I mean, it's a crazy, crazy world, social media. People that once never had a voice and probably shouldn't have anyway, now can bully, they can leave comments, they can be not nice, they can be nice one day and then flip-flop the next day, they can be sexually inappropriate, they can be aggressive in other ways. Like there's all sorts of things that are out there in the world of online and social media. We all know this. It's not great. Our family in the summertime has no screen summers, so we don't watch TV or movie. Like if it's a crazy, awful, rainy night and it's a weekend, maybe we'll put on a movie and watch together as a family. But otherwise, in our house in the summer, there's no screens.
That's beautiful.
And my daughter actually said to me a few weeks into that, she's like, Daddy, Mommy, thank you so much for making our summer no screens, because I'm loving this. I'm outside more. I get to play with the kids next door more, like whatever. So she got it very quickly, and it inspired me to look for more opportunities to do that. But for me personally, I'm on the cusp every moment of every day of just getting rid of all of my social media apps on my phone, because I just have too much screen time going on, and I want to be with people and doing business and having real dialogue and conversations, rather than being buried in a phone. I just think it's the wrong thing and the wrong way to go. And I have a really good ability to not take personally what I consume on social media. That's something that I'm good at.
Yeah.
But that's not something that everybody's good at.
That's true.
And it can really mess with people, and it does mess with people. So people in our world, we're always online and on these social media platforms communicating with who knows what, a bot, a person, like an aggressor, a friend, like we don't even know half the time. And it often doesn't lead to anywhere good. It's very stressful. Mental health is bananas in our country. Stress and anxiety is through the roof. Everybody, think about it. Everybody in your orbit, in your world, everyone's experiencing anxiety and mental health and stress issues.
Yeah.
It's not great. And I think so much of it comes from screens and social media. My friend who shared with me that his daughter turned herself around in a matter of days because there was no screen anymore makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
Just take the thing away from your face. It's like that Batman movie where there's like gamma rays hitting your face and you like turn into like a zombie, and then they pull the thing away from you, and then all of a sudden you're a normal person again.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on. And it didn't surprise me when he told me that, but I was really happy to hear the result. And it was a very moving conversation for me. I'm worried about it every moment of every day. I am. I think it's a big problem. I think most of society doesn't know how to handle the responsibility of being online and doesn't know how to handle, they don't have the personality, the internal personal strength and fortitude to be engaged with millions and millions of people, because that's what you're engaged with. Most of us really only know how to be engaged with a few people at once, right? Yeah. Friends, family, a classroom.
So we're built for evolutionarily.
Right. But now, all of a sudden, with a screen in front of us, we're engaging with millions and millions, billions, however many, like the whole world.
Yeah.
And we're just we don't have that ability.
No.
So we're being thrust into a situation to, what do we take personally? What do we, what keeps us up at night? Does the comments keep us up at night? Oh my God, now we're not getting sleep, and we're getting messaging, and
should I post for this cause?
It's
or
fake.
Should I post for that?
People are faking how rich they are, and where they live, and how to be successful, and how to lose weight, and how to all this stuff. And normal people are looking at all this going, oh my God, this, it's stressful, man. I'm stressed even talking about this. Look at me. You got me all worked up in a tizzy.
I know. I like how you phrase that, the responsibility of using
it's
the internet.
It's a responsibility.
Yeah, and that's how you have to view it. Yeah. The way that I've always viewed it, or maybe not always viewed it, but since college, I think Robert Putnam wrote a book way back, I think it's like 70s now, Bowling Alone, about the television. And
same thing, different time.
Yeah, and he was talking about the television and the telephone. And so that's kind of the paradigm that I've always used for social media, is that if I use it like a telephone, which is to connect with people, then it's fine.
Right.
But if I notice myself using it as a television where I'm just consuming, I'm just taking in information all the time, that's when I start to kind of give myself a red flag.
How about people that say that they get all of their news from TikTok or Instagram?
Yeah, it's alarming.
I mean, what's that about?
Yeah, and that's only going to increase in the future. I would
only
imagine.
going to increase.
So,
so that part of it's a bummer, but
yeah,
for those people that feel like you're too attached to the screens or your kids are too attached to the screens, pull the ripcord, man.
Yeah,
pull the ripcord.
Yeah, at least take a fast. I think that's the thing, is like you can always go back to it, but at least experiment with taking time away from
I've
it.
seen so many young people experience the bullying and the mental anguish that comes along with that, and then like groupthink, and kids especially, they all hop on, and then you got people commenting from all over the place. Something goes viral. Now you have people commenting from Wisconsin and Europe or whatever, and you don't even know these people, and they're commenting, and that's stressful.
Yeah, 100%.
Not everybody's built to handle that.
No, I don't think anyone is, really.
Right.
I think you just kind of find ways to cope. But that makes sense.
Well, just remember that people's words can only hurt you if you let that happen. Words themselves don't hurt unless you permit it.
We have 1 month left of 2022.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's December. What's something you're particularly proud of accomplishing in this last year, and what are you looking forward to accomplishing next year?
Oh, that's such a canned question. What am I proud of having accomplished in 2022?
Yeah.
We stayed alive, we thrived, and we're living to make a go of it next year.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't want to sound, cliche, but
it was a cliche question, so.
I'm proud of the growth and the achievement for this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't an easy year. Another year where it wasn't an easy year.
Yeah.
But somehow myself, my family, my team, people that are in my life and important to me, we seem to all have come out the other side. So I think that part's good. I'm proud of that. I'm terrified for next year and the year after.
Yeah.
And I hope that I'm wrong. And I hope that today's news coming from Fed Chairman Powell, where he says he could see scaling back the rate of rate increases, and he sort of indicates a little bit more confidence in the economy with the rate increases that he's already infused into the system. So maybe I'm wrong and it's going to be a little bit better next year, but I see a lot of stress and problems economically, politically, in the business landscape coming up. That's also opportunity. So I'm looking forward to that, but it's going to be a bumpy ride for the next couple of years. And when it's bumpy for you, that means it'll be bumpy for me, and it's bumpy for all of us. We're all in this together. We're all connected. So, we don't like bumpy. We like smooth.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking forward to just trying to survive next year, because I think that's, if we can just survive, it'll be a big win.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that.
I think just hanging in there for another inning is going to be a big win for most people, myself included.
Yeah.
Because I'm worried where a lot of things are headed. We've got Ukraine and Russia. We've got China.
My gosh, yeah. China right now.
It's not great. Our own country, politically, economically, with inflation and rates and costs and incomes and like the whole thing, we're divided. We're not united. It's a stressful time. A lot of that mental health and stress and anxiety that we were just talking about, it's going to present itself even more so next year. So I'm worried about all that, but I hope that we all have the strength to get through it together and with grace and with poise.
Yeah. Well, cool. All right. Thanks so much, Peter.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Peter. We got Q&A from Mitchell Birnbaum.
Mitchell Birnbaum. Yep. I went to camp with him.
Well, he follows you apparently now, and so he wants to know, I own a small property management company here on the East Coast. My son is almost 12 years old, and I want to make sure he gets to know the business and understands the fundamentals of what I do. Any tips on how best to pass along the wisdom I've learned without being too overbearing about it?
Bring him to work with you, Mitch. I don't know if you do that. Bring your kid to work. Do it like once every few months. 12 years old, you find a day. Do it on a Saturday. Bring him in, make it a weekend thing. Drive him around, look at the buildings, bring him inside on service calls, accompany your team. Let him see how you're interacting with your team and with your residents. Let them see what kind of a leader you are. The best thing you can do for your 12-year-old kid in your business context is to let them see you be great. Be a great leader, be a great property manager, be a great business person. Let them see that. It's one thing to talk about it at the dinner table. That's important too. It's another thing to bring your kids with you and let them see what you do. Because how many kids are out there that go, oh, my dad or my mom is a this or that, they don't really know. They say the words. How about letting them be with you and watch you work? What an opportunity. I remember when I was a kid, I got to watch my parents work all the time. I learned everything from that. I learned everything. I watched them, that they were walking the walk. They weren't just talking the talk. It connected so many dots for me. Mitch, you got to bring your kid to work with you.
All right. Do it up, Mitchell. And thank you so much, Peter. I'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
If you like what you just heard, you can subscribe to The Daily Cash Flow on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And we'd love it if you left us a comment or review. You can follow us on TikTok and Twitter at SiegelCap, and on Instagram at Siegel.cap. As always, if you're an accredited investor, go to SiegelCapital.com and take our survey to see if you qualify to take part in one of our apartment building deals. That's SIEGEL Capital.com.